Hey there. I had to get away from the sun a little bit. This is part 5 of my series. And I was going to make a whole video about school funding, but I realized that there really actually are some great resources out there that talk about school funding. So I would direct you to Raise Your Hand Texas. I would also, Sci-Fair is actually Sci-Fair ISD is doing their own series right now that I haven't looked, but I mean, I've been getting them in my email, but because I work for Sci-Fair, but I have seen them on social media, and I'm sure they're on their website. So they're talking about the different buckets that money comes out of. And so I would direct you there to actually learn more about it. But I wanted to make this video just to say a couple of things. Number one, go see those videos to learn more about how education funding works, because one of the reasons that this has become such an important issue for me in Texas is because of the state's, our state governor, Texas governor, and our state legislators are holding $32 billion hostage. And how funding works here is we have a sales tax and we have property tax. And so I'm not going to get into all of the big things, but what people think of is like I'm just going to give a round number, $5,000 in taxes for school taxes. And maybe that's based on your property value, or maybe if you're a renter, you don't know how much you've paid in taxes, but I can guarantee you it's part of your rent. So all of us pay property taxes. The 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 mistake people make is they think, well, I rent, so I don't pay property taxes. Yeah, you do. We all pay property taxes. Okay? Even people that are here undocumented or with asylum, or they're here because of they're internationally here because of their job. Like I had a friend from Scotland. They lived here for 8 years because he worked in the oil and gas, and he was here with his job. And now they're back in Scotland. They live. But it's like, okay, those people bought and sold a house, so they paid property taxes every year, and they weren't American citizens, so they couldn't vote. So this idea that immigrants don't pay taxes is stupid. You're wrong. They do pay taxes. I promise you, it's included in their rent. And even if there's multiple families living at a place, because that's all they can afford, they're still paying towards the tax system. Okay? Now, some people will say, well, if they get paid in cash, they're not paying into federal income tax. That's true, but so are some American citizens too. So that's a different problem. Okay? If we actually, I mean, this could be a whole nother video. If we actually created a pathway for immigrants to come, because we do need them. We do need dishwashers and lawn crew and garbage collectors and agriculture workers. That's a huge, and food industry, construction. Gosh, there's so many things where sadly, the jobs that anyone that complains about that says, I'm not willing to do that job, but they complain that we have immigrants here. How do you think this country was built? The railroads, the skyscrapers in New York City, in Boston, the shipyards, the trucking, all of the transportation, construction, all of our infrastructure was built by immigrants. And so we have to stop listening to this rhetoric that says that undocumented, illegal, you'd like to say, immigrants are taking jobs from us. Look at the statistics. Look at the data. Now, I'm going to just say a caveat. I said this in another video. All of us want to feel safe. There's been some stories about immigrants that have committed crimes and done bad things, and they have taken advantage of the system in some way, possibly. There are those people, but there's also legal American citizens that have done that too. So all I'm saying is none of us have to be for open borders or for, like, yay, crime. No, we're not. But we're just looking at it from a different angle of the benefit of immigrants. And I said this also in a different video, that for every dollar that we spend in early childhood education here or in another country, it actually benefits our tax base. It reduces public spending from $7 to $15 in the future, tax spending, for every dollar we spend on early childhood and pre-K education. So if you haven't seen my earlier videos, go see some of that and understand. Again, I'm not an expert, and this does not guarantee that someone that has an education is not going to go and commit crimes. It doesn't mean that I'm saying an immigrant is going to not commit a crime. What I'm saying is we need to be looking at all sides of this issue and understand how valuable and important and what an investment education is. So getting back to the purpose of this video, which is funding, understanding that immigrants, and actually here in Texas anyway, because every state does it differently. Some states have, state income tax, etc. We have property tax, and we also fund through sales tax, which is also a tax that every person in Texas pays, including the people that come here for the World Cup who don't live here, tourism. Anyone that buys a candy bar or gets gas for their rental car down the road here, if they're just here visiting, they buy dinner, they're going to a show, they come to here, they come to see the Astros, they come to go to NASA. Like, there's things to do here in Houston. They don't even live here. They pay sales tax. Texas has, I don't know what it would be this year, but I looked at it a few years ago, and it was like the 8th largest economy in the country. And I don't know what it is, but we're way up there for the world too. Like, Texas has a very strong economy, and it's not as good in recent years. It's gone up a lot, but our housing has also been traditionally better than a lot of other places in the world. Our gas prices have been a lot better than other places in the world. Why? Because we have oil and gas here, because we have a lot of industry, and Houston is the most diverse city in the country right now. Even more than, maybe New York is ahead of us, but we are one of the most diverse cities because we have all this international industry. And the school I used to be at, we had, they have 32 languages spoken in that community. And so all those people are paying sales tax when they buy stuff. And so, this would be another, argument for why we need to have good economic policies. We can't just reward businesses. We need to encourage people to spend their money, because that's going to increase the sales tax base for our Texas spending. And you know what is in that bucket? Education. And our state has decreased. I again refer you to go see Raise Your Hand Texas and some of these other videos that talk about how we spend money, because Texas has, they are allowed to, by law, decrease in their support of local school districts when those school districts make more money in property tax. So if we live in a nice, wealthy area, then, the state is going to pay less to those school districts. And poor districts aren't doing so hot either, because then they typically have lower test scores. And so then the state has come in to take over several school districts. We have school districts right now, there's like 1,200 school districts in Texas. And those school districts are very wide in sizes. I mean, it's way different. You've got, Cy-Fair I work for Cy-Fair ISD, and they have one of the largest suburban school districts in Texas. Well, it is the largest suburban school district. The only other school districts that are bigger are like HISD, Dallas ISD, etc. Cy-Fair has like 150,000 students. I don't know what it is. 110. It's a lot. It's over 100,000. And it's like 50 elementary schools, 12 high schools. I don't even know how many middle schools. Anyway, I'm just, as an example, they just passed, their school board just passed $1 billion budget with still an 80 million deficit. Why? Because we have to open our doors to whoever comes. That's state law. And we're not getting the funds, not because there's very few school districts that are struggling because of mismanagement. They're struggling because the state is giving them less and less money for more mandates. For example, the state requires, because of safety, the state requires every school to have a resource officer. Well, how do you think those people get paid? If you have a lot of schools like Cy-Fair has, they can't afford that. You're going to pay an officer. When I used to be in Tomball, they had a contract with the Harris County Constables. And so we had the school I used to be at, we had a full-time deputy on our campus. And you know what? I felt very secure and safe having him there. But, half the time he was sitting around waiting because, it's not like, so we do need resource officers. I'm not saying, and it's great to have them there full-time. But also, do you know how much money we're paying to have him there? He has to have a salary too. The state only gives schools like $15,000 for each officer. So they're not paying for it. They told you have to have it, and they're not paying for it. So that's just one example. And there's this new mandate about the Bible is the main reason. I've been an advocate for public education for a decade now. So I have a lot of things I want to say. But that's what prompted me to decide I needed to really talk about all these things, because there's a lot of people that don't understand how our education works here in Texas, and how funding works. We've got the State Board of Education that has a lot of power, and there's campaign financing that I want to talk about. And a lot of these decisions are being made because of billionaires that come in and basically they support some candidate with their, I'm going to give you $1 million for your campaign, and that gives them name recognition. And so if they have, and we live in a very Republican area, and if they're Republican, then people will vote for them. They may not even know anything about that candidate. And some charter school guy gave that candidate $1 million to get elected to the school board, and then that candidate feels obligated to approve that charter school billionaire a contract. And so what you have now is you have the most corrupt governor. And again, I don't want to get into all the statistical details, but it's out there on the internet. Everybody that wants to spend the time to go look, I'm not giving you made up stuff. It's factual information. Again, you don't believe everything on the internet, but I'm saying go look for yourself. It's actual data that shows their campaign financing. It shows who is giving money to who. It shows who is approving these contracts. And it comes back to our governor, TEA, which runs schools, and these rich billionaires that have bought seats in our state reps and State Board of Education. That is what's running our funding in public education. So, again, this is why I'm making a series, because I could talk about this for a really long time. Stay tuned for more.